Robert Plank Show, episode 129, Book Launch Strategies and Self-Publishing with Angela Ford. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Robert Plank Show. This is the podcast where we talk about making money, and we're here with Angela J. Ford. She's a digital marketer and indie author and helps multi-passionate creatives understand marketing so they can spend more time doing work they love. Hey Angela, I'm Robert. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Robert, thanks so much for having me on.
Cool. So can we talk a little bit about what it is that you do, what makes you unique, what makes you special?
Absolutely. Well, I really got started in the online marketing, first of all, because I'm obsessed with social media. Like a lot of the younger generation is just so attractive and so much fun, especially to get a lot of like likes and comments on different things. And that's initially what got me started and really attracted me to online marketing. But after that, I discovered it's an excellent way to really reach people that, aren't next door to you or in your neighborhood or in the same city that you're in, but really reach out to them and help them with, promoting their products or their services. And that's something that I've always been in the business of promoting products or services. I was a musician when I was younger, and after that, I transitioned into doing more writing and blogging, and now I have a book out. And that's something that I really wanted to focus on. How do I get visible online? How do I help others get visible online? What do you need to do in order to get a fan base and get people that will talk about your work and promote it for you? So that's really what got me into it. And then what really makes me unique here is that even though I do a lot of the digital marketing, I actually write fantasy novels, and that's my huge passion project. And so that's a little a little strange, a little different there, but it's a lot of fun for me. And then what I get to do is not only promote those, but also promote my business. So I do a lot with digital marketing. I work with a lot of creative entrepreneurs who have their own websites, their own blogs. Some of them actually sell products. Some of them do more of the courses and services. So it really depends there. But it's a fun way to work together to really strategize and be creative and figure out, okay, what can I do today to get visible online and to get more clients and send people back to my website and build that traffic and build up a reputation on social media.
And that's cool, and I especially like that you have your fantasy novels, your hobby, because I mean we all have to have a hobby, but isn't it cool if the hobby we have makes us some money too, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I firmly believe that with the entrepreneurial lifestyle, we all want to do a lot of different things. So we're not just in it for one thing. Like you don't just do a podcast and that's it. And I don't just do digital marketing for other people and that's it. We all have different passions and different things that we're doing in our lives, regardless of whether or not it's making money. But it's a huge plus and a huge bonus if it is.
Right. And so, all right. So as far as that goes, like as far as like the social media, especially like Twitter and stuff like that, like do you think that there is like a dark side to some of the social media, especially like with the like a lot of people like putting in a lot of time, not getting a lot of traction, or like some of the bots and the spam stuff, and kind of going down a rabbit hole. Like, do you see that? Do you see people like using social media in the wrong way?
Oh, for sure. So funny that you say that because every now and then I'll get on Instagram or get on Twitter and I'll see a bunch of posts and I'm like, "Oh no, the marketers have come to town and they're ruining this social media platform because they're really gung ho or like promoting their next webinar or their next course or they just have a ton of quotes there." And it can be kind of frustrating. It takes away some of that real human connection when you get all of the spams and the bots coming in, and then all of the posts that are really hardcore promotional. So there definitely is that side, and it really isn't about just promoting. The whole point of social media is to be social and to share authentically who you are yourself, even if you're focused on one topic. Um, so that's one thing that I find frustrating is a lot of the promotion and then the fact that it's all based on services and products and not necessarily on, like I am an individual and today I'm at the beach. End of story.
So with all that, with all the marketers like coming in and ruining everything, like is there an answer? Is there like a way to defeat all that?
Oh, absolutely. There's a fine line between just pushing products and services, and then between pushing your lifestyle as an entrepreneur and what you do as an entrepreneur. So I think Instagram is actually a fun way to show because it's very focused on visuals. So there's not really a good way for a lot of marketers to come in and really promote their products and services. I mean, they can do it, but there's not a great way to do it. And what I love about Instagram particularly is it's all focused on lifestyle and beautiful photos. So you can really just take a picture of what you're doing today and say, hey, like today I'm working from this coffee shop and I'm doing this and I'm being productive. And these are the three things that really help me. Share what you're doing today and tag me in the photo. So just it starts a conversation going back and forth between people. And that's really what social media is about, getting that conversation started, not just making it a one-way conversation, but going back and forth, sharing what you're doing and maybe some of the tips and the tactics that you have, and then asking people, inviting them to the conversation, asking a question at the end. That's huge.
As opposed to just being the spammer, being the machine gun, right?
Exactly. As opposed to just saying, hey, my webinar is on tomorrow at 11. Come join, sign up. Here's the link.
So, I mean, if we do have that webinar, like if we do have something to sell, is it? I mean, I mean, what's the attack plan? I guess like, is it kind of like more of a long game where like you kind of put little tidbits in, or like, I mean, I guess I guess I'm trying to figure out like, is there a way to actually sell something on social media and not be a jerk about it, but also get some traffic using that platform or those
Yeah,
platforms?
yep, for sure, for sure. And that's like if there's a good way to do it on all social media platforms, as a matter of fact. But first of all, you have to build a reputation and make sure that what you're offering is of value to others, that you're being authentic, that you're establishing that two-way conversation by asking questions, getting involved with others. And then when you do have something, when you do have that webinar, that new book that's out, when you do make that announcement, people are going to be much more excited about it because you've taken an interest in their lives and now they're your fans and they're interested in what you're doing. And so when you have something come out, they're all excited and they're ready to sign up and join and help promote it. So it really is a long game. It's value first and then sales later. And you can even put that down as the 80-20 rule. 80% just being helpful and valuable and authentic, and 20% actually selling and promoting.
Interesting. So once you have them hooked, then it's time to actually send them to a link or something like that.
Absolutely. And it's the same thing with new friendships. When you dive into a new friendship or you're making friends with people, you don't necessarily ask them for a favor first. You get to know them, you figure out what makes them tick. And then later on, when you do have a favor to ask, they're more than happy. They're like, oh, of course, we've been friends for forever. Let's do this.
So cool. Yeah, I mean, you've been friends for like 6 months or 3 months or something. And it's like, okay, like now that I've given you like just overwhelming value, like so much, I've given you so much more than I'm asking, even though it's delivered over this huge period of time. Now it's like I've given you like 100 times, and I'm only asking for like 10, right? 10 back.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
So cool. So I mean, you mentioned a few minutes ago about your fantasy novels, and I don't know, like lately I've just been I've been looking for like some like interesting stories and kind of stuff that's not the usual norm. So can you tell us about your fan? I mean, feel free to like go into whatever kind of detail, but I mean, could you tell us about like your fantasy novels and how that came to be and how you used your marketing skill in this kind of like new frontier, I guess, for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I first started writing when I was, probably like 10, 11, or 12. I used to journal every single day, and I have four sisters, and they're all very imaginative and creative. And we made up all sorts of stories and games when we were younger and playing together. And after a little while, I started writing those down and turning them into stories. And my thinking was that I wanted to create this world that was similar to Earth and similar to the humans in Earth, but was completely different. So it's not even in the same galaxy as this whole other world that I created. And they're four different worlds, which is why it's called the Four Worlds series. And they're all on the same planet. And there are different adventures that take place throughout each of the worlds. So the each of the books focuses on one of those worlds. The first book that's out, The Five Warriors, is about the Western world. And one of the things that I really wanted to do was be different from other fantasy authors. And a lot of fantasy authors, they incorporate different mythical beasts inside of their stories. They have the dragons and the wizards and the elves and the goblins and very distinct good and bad creatures. And one of the things I didn't want to have any of those creatures. And I also didn't want to have any humans in the story. So it's all
Interesting.
very brand new. Like there are no humans, there are no dragons, there are no wizards, but there are things that are very similar to it. And I just call them by different names. So now I first wrote the stories when I was a teenager, and now I'm rewriting all of them to make them actually be good because the plot it wasn't that great, to be honest. Um, so I started rewriting those, and one of the big things I wanted to focus on was diversity. And so in each of my books, I have four core people groups, and they're all very distinct and very different. There's the group of people that are very curious and they just like to go on adventures, and they often get into trouble because they're way too curious for their own good. And then there are the people they just like to live in forests, and that's it. And they have their own secrets, and they're very in tune with nature and the forest. And then there's also the people group that they just want to farm and stay at home and eat, drink, and be married and have lots of children and have their rich lives just staying at home. And the last people group, they really love like high elevations and mountains, and that's where they'll be found, like up above everyone else. And in the first book, these four people groups, they actually come together, and it's just a very interesting blend, seeing how diverse they are and how distinct they are in their cultures and their backgrounds, but then how that blends together when they come together. And it actually has the message that, you know, we're stronger together when we do come together to do these different things, whether it's saving the world or going off on another adventure. And that's really one of the things I wanted to focus and highlight in my books is the that being different is a good thing, but we can all work together.
And that the whole thing is cool, and I especially like that you kind of took the, I don't know, like the raw creativity or the spark or whatever you want to call it, like the stuff from childhood to come up with all these new ideas, and then you kind of put it into a box and kind of refined it and made it something that then you actually like makes sense and has a good plot and good characters and stuff like that. And I think that's really cool, especially because kind of like we've been talking for the last few minutes about how like it's kind of uncool to sell a product, right? It's kind of uncool
Mm-hmm.
to sell coaching, but then there on the internet there's so many ways to make money, and I really like the idea of just like, publishing whatever and then selling so many copies of that becomes a full-time income. So is that so this series of books and things like that, is this on Kindle and CreateSpace and all that?
Oh, absolutely. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Nobles, Books a Million. The Five Warriors is the name of the book. And yeah, it's available. It's also in the Kindle Unlimited program, which is fantastic both for authors and for readers. Because readers, if they're part of the program, they can read the book for free. And then on the author side, I actually get paid for every page that people are reading. So that's exciting. And it's pure entertainment and it's relatable in a way. So it is another great way to just like talk about something fun that's different than saying, okay, this book is going to help you with your business, it's going to show you how to get more traffic. It's going to do none of those things. It's just going to be something entertaining that you can read.
But I
So
mean,
that's also fun to promote.
well, yeah, and I mean, if people like it and you have your fans and it's fun promoting it, I mean, what's the harm in that? So I mean, could you walk us kind of through the process of, okay, like once the book or even like the first book or the second book or whatever, but like once the books are done and they're published, what are the steps that you personally take to then kind of sell a bunch of copies?
Yeah, that's actually a lot of fun. I'm really big into doing a whole book launch strategy. So what I like to do after the book is done and it's gone off to the editor and I'm kind of done with my part of writing it out and I really just need to do some final edits. At that point, that's when I like to sit down and strategize my book launch strategy and decide what am I going to do. When's the book going to come out? And I'm going to do an actual book launch party in my city. I'm going to do a virtual book launch online as well, which for the first book, I ended up doing both of those. I also did several different contests and giveaways just to get people involved. I gave away an Amazon gift card, a Starbucks gift card, and then a couple months after the book came out, I started giving away copies of the book just to stir up some action and get a new audience to pay attention to it. I also did a lot of promoting online, initially with Facebook and in different Facebook groups, just talking to people about books and self publishing. And anytime someone would say, oh, I'm looking for a new book to read, I'm looking for something fiction related, I could just drop in a link and say, oh, well, I just finished writing this book. It's fantasy, it's entertainment. It'll be something relaxing to read just to kind of calm your brain after you've been doing all this work and just tell them about it. And I actually had a lot of people that I had conversations with online go and purchase the book immediately just because we had a conversation about books. And that happened on both Facebook and Twitter. And then on Instagram, that just kind of fell into my lap. Once I got the actual copies of the book, because I worked with a professional designer, the book cover is absolutely gorgeous. And I was really excited. So I posted a picture online and said something like, I just got in the copies of my book. Here's what it looks like. I'm really excited. Just to talk about it and get some momentum going. And people started commenting and liking it and talking about the book cover and how beautiful it was. And they just got really excited about it. And I remember thinking every time I posted on Instagram about the book, I got the biggest engagement that I ever had. And I was like, oh, well, people really like this. And then all of a sudden, book bloggers started reaching out. They started asking me if they could have a copy to like read and review or like promote on Twitter to all of their followers. So I started doing that as well. And that just kind of took care of itself. That was a huge way to start bringing in new eyes to the book. And then one of the other things that I also did was a couple of the free ebook giveaways. Amazon allows you to give away your book every 3 months for free. You can make it free for 5 days. So I did a couple of those and promoted them on different sites like FreeBooksy and Rifle that allow they have daily emails that go out announcing the books that are discounted are free, and so they have an enormous email list. Some of them have over 100,000, 200,000 people on those email lists. So when they send it out and they say, hey, this book is free for 5 days, there are tons of people that download it. And that also helps with the sales ranking and the visibility for it as well. And then one of the other things that really helped reach a new audience and also the visibility of the book was going on book tours. I actually did a book tour for an entire month, and that was fantastic because different publishers and book bloggers did a blog post on the book. And there was one that went live every week. Sometimes there were three that went live during a week. And that was another way to tap into their audience and get other people excited about it, talking about it. There was also a giveaway that went along with that. That helped also. Giveaways are just huge for bringing in more people. So that was fantastic. But I would have to say that probably the number one thing that really helped the book sell was the reviews. So I had a couple of copies that I sent out to people before the book was officially published. And when it went live on Amazon, I sent an email to everyone that had read it before it went live and asked them to just leave a review. It could be like a sentence, um, just a couple words, nothing huge or super long. Just a short sentence about what they thought about the book, and that really did it. Like if people go online and they read the reviews and they see all of these positive reviews, that sells itself. So those are definitely a few steps I would highly recommend for anyone who has a book coming out to take advantage of in order to get the word out, reach a new market, and start those book sales.
Awesome, and I mean, it just sounds like that. What's cool about these marketing strategies that you have, especially the social media stuff, is that I mean, it sounds like it applies to anything, right? Like, I mean, the low hanging fruit are the obvious choices. You say, I'm going to sell my membership course, or I'm going to sell whatever. But I really like that. even when you choose to do something totally out of left field, you choose to, take these childhood stories and kind of put them on Amazon, it's like you still use the same strategies that you learned about, using Instagram for this. And I also like that it sounds like, I mean, am I right in this, that a lot of the social media stuff, it seems like it's a lot of it's about like the consistent daily actions, like you post every day, you log in every day, you respond every day to build up the stuff that kind of pays off, 6 months or a year later. And then another thing about that, other than the daily actions and stuff like that, it's like another thing is just that you build up this whole following, and it's just about like just being real and trying crazy stuff. And I mean, is that about right? Like it's about like real stuff and doing something every day, or maybe a lot of things every day.
Yes, that's so true because I've seen with when I'm consistent, when I'm post with social media, then my followers know that I'm there. They know that I'm interested in them and they just keep coming back. They keep commenting because they know I'm going to reply to every single comment at some point. So it really is all about that. And the strategies for launching, like it's the same strategy. It's just different tactics, just different little things that you do, just depending on what kind of product you have and then what how you're targeting your audience. And it's fantastic. Once you have the strategy down, it's very easy to plan different tactics. And some things can be executed, within a day. Like I've had different ideas come up. Like one, I was like, oh, like I should create a quiz for my readers so they can figure out which one of the warriors they're most like. So when they're reading the book, they can say, oh, I'm most like this person because I got that on the quiz. And that took me a few hours to execute and put up and then tell people about it. So they're just fun little things that will come to mind throughout the whole process.
I love it. And I think that what's cool about you and I both as marketers is, we have an idea and we can kind of put it in action the same day. Whereas someone else who's kind of figuring it out on their own, they might take, months just to make one little quiz in there. So I think it's really cool. It's almost like you're Superman, right? Like on the home planet of Superman, you're kind of like everyone else, but you go to Earth and suddenly you can do all kinds of crazy things, right?
Yes, that's one of the best part about being a marketer is just all the different creative ideas you can come up with and the things you can do and the risk you can take as well. And a lot of times I found that those risks really do pay off. And it's like, oh, I'm going to do something crazy, but hey, it worked out.
So I mean, I'm looking at your the Five Warriors book and a couple of your books on Amazon. So what did you ever think to do a pen name, or to like market as like some other identity as opposed to your marketing brand?
I did. I really thought about that because I wasn't sure if I should say that I was AJ Ford or just Angela Ford. I ended up going with Angela J. Ford because I did a search online for people that had the same name that I did, and whew, their names were coming up first. And I was like, well, okay. Like, and there's another Angela Ford that writes romance novels, so her name comes up a lot during searches. So I'm like, well, I really have to make sure like I'm distinct and I stand out. And also, one of my big things is I wanted my name on the book to be the same as my marketing name as well because it's more of a lifestyle entrepreneur. So whenever I do decide to change my focus or pivot, I just want to be able to keep that same name even if I do end up changing my focus.
Because you spent so however many decades already just creating all this content under this one name. Why start from scratch, right?
Yes, yes.
Well, cool. So can you tell us like how this all ties together? Like, I know that you have, like, we talked a lot about your fiction books and things like that, but what do you do as a marketer? Like, what kind of services do you provide? What kind of products do you have for someone who's looking to grow their business?
Yeah, so one of the big things I do is strategy, and it's the online marketing strategy. And again, it's very similar whether you have just a blog, or you do services, or you have products like books or courses. The strategy is all the same. So I really focus on that and narrowing it down into the targets and the goals and what actually is the desired outcome. So I love the strategy. I love focusing on that. Sometimes for the strategy, I even love getting down into the nitty gritty, even telling people, okay, these are the hashtags you should use because they will get you the most visibility. Just fun things like that. I also do some one off coaching. Some people just want to spend an hour talking through and brainstorming ideas. So I do that as well. And then more of the hands on work that I do really is the website setup. So I do build websites. I built mine, and then I built the one for my book as well, and all of my book sales pages, which are a lot of fun. But sometimes getting into the back end and the layouts, that can just be so much. And I've done it so often that it's just easy to do. I can just fly through that. So most of the time, I can get a website up in a couple weeks. It's not a huge deal. So I do that for other people as well, just so that they can get it up and they can take it from there. They just need some help with the foundation and laying that out. And then finally, I do some social media marketing as needed for people and just help them really take off and figure out what they're doing with social media and how to make it more about building a relationship and focusing on that long term versus selling and promoting and just doing that. So those are really the core services, and they all tie in because I'm not only doing the marketing part, I'm also executing it on my end with my novels, and that's really fun. So I have both of the strategy part and the execution, and then drilling down to the actual tactics that work.
I mean, and I love it, and I like that. Most of what it's cool that most of what you and I were able to talk about was about something non. I mean, it was non-marketing related in that the niche was not about how to make more money, how to improve conversion rates on your website, but you still used all those same tried and true marketing tactics in an area where you kind of have fun, right? And you kind of can be
Yes.
unique and have your personality. And I mean, I love all that kind of stuff. Like it's I don't know, it's one of those things where it's like all right, like you have your marketing and you have your websites and like that's okay, but it's like what about your hobbies, right? What about something like new and interesting and exciting and unique and stuff like that? And I just love that you're able to take all the usual marketing tactics and use it for something that's like what started as a hobby as a kid, but kind of has turned into a new income stream for you. So that's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, thanks so much. And I mean, that really is my mission. I want to do more work that I love doing. I want to write more novels. And my mission as well with the marketing that actually pays the bills. So I want to help people figure out how they can spend more time doing work that they love. And that really is my mission.
Awesome. So if someone is looking for that kind of thing, if they have like an existing business or an up and coming business and they want to find you or hire you or somehow learn from you to make things better, where can they find out about you and your books and all the cool things that you do?
Yeah, so come across to angelajford.com. That is my website. And then you can also find me on Instagram and Twitter. My handle is A421. And I'm on there all the time. I respond a little fast. But yeah, I love to chat.
Cool. All right. So Angela J. Ford. So thanks, Angela, for coming on the show and talking about all this just like this whole slew of these like just these cool avenues to take either I mean if you have something that can help businesses that's cool but then even something as crazy as you have these ideas for these fantasy novels. It's I mean the internet is so amazing these days that like any idea you have, anything you want to do, there's just some way to get it out there. And so I love that. Not just with social media and the self-publishing, but just like there's so many ways to have all these irons in the fire. So I mean, so thanks for coming on and thanks for sharing about all that. And AngelaJFord.com is the place to go. So I mean, thanks for sharing all your knowledge and everything you have to share with us about Instagram, social media, book launching, all that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. It's been my pleasure. And thank you so much for having me on the show. This has been fantastic.